Well, in today's video, I'm gonna talk about Spider-Man in general, because there are two things I am aware of, which are Iron Man and Spider-Man, all that good stuff. Those are my two franchises that I am aware of indefinitely. I'm aware of that to a T. It's like eating steak, New York steak, every day for the past 20 years, because I'm that good at nitpicking on everything. So when it comes to that stuff, if I'm not, my friend is. But it's come to my attention that Spider-Man is taking way too long with certain characters coming out. I mean, let's go back from the very beginning of the whole Spider-Man franchise to get this all started. Honestly, first off, let's get that straight. I love the first two Spider-Man movies, the originals. I mean, with Tobey Maguire, Kristen Dunst, and all of those guys. Let's get that straight first off. But the third one becomes a problem for me when the iconic role of Venom is not said. We are Venom. What is that? I mean, why didn't Topher Grace ever say that line? Was there budget reasons? Was there some kind of copyright infringement rule on that saying, that iconic role of "We are Venom" rule? I mean, that's where it causes a problem for me. I mean, Eddie Brock is supposed to say that. I mean, and go up in space. That's probably, because I'm used to watching the 90s version of Spider-Man. Because from, what was it, 1994 through 1998, that's what I'm familiar with. And that's what I'm saying. The first two were awesome. The third one, not so much, because by this point, I'm tired of watching the Green Goblin appear, with the exception of the third one. I'll give him that, because he's supposed to, my friend explained it to me, he's supposed to help Peter fight those two, so I get it. But when you bring back the Green Goblin for the reboot, and he looks more like the Vulture, I don't like that. I think that's the wrong direction when it comes to that whole thing. And not to mention, honestly, I thought, because we're talking about the other Spider-Man in alternate universes, in Peter Parker's universe, I thought he was the 2099 one, because he's wearing the armor. He's supposed to marry Gwen Stacy, so I get the whole, I could justify that Peter Parker being arrogant and bastardly and all that stuff. I get it. And arrogant and being somewhat of a douchebag. So I get the whole gist of it, because there are different iterations of Spider-Man. So I get that whole gist of it. But, of Peter Parker's character. But, when it comes to the whole Amazing Spider-Man, of watching that whole 2 movies, I didn't like the Lizard being standing up all the time. The Lizard is supposed to spend, at least I would say, about, if you're gonna have a fight with the Lizard and that's your whole climactic story, he's supposed to spend at least 10 minutes or at least 20 minutes on the floor, on all fours, like a actual lizard. And I didn't like the fact that he looked like 10 feet tall. I didn't like that. What is up with seeing... I'm sorry to bring the whole Wolverine thing up, but what is the problem with the whole budget spending on the character being 10 feet tall? I don't understand why characters aren't their actual height if that was the case. And I'm only bringing that into play when it comes to the Lizard, or Dr. Connor's character. What was that? Like, he looked like he was 10 feet tall, and that was my whole gist with it. I was having problems with it. I'm like thinking to myself, and he's supposed to wear the lab coat at all times. Like, what is the whole problem with the Lizard being naked? I mean, with his whole scales, I know that, like, prosthetically, but I didn't like that. Like, I'm like wondering, why isn't Dr. Connors, if you're gonna bring that character in, why isn't that character on all fours? I'm like, why? When it comes to some part of the fight, because I'm thinking to myself, what? Why? What's the problem? And when it comes to Spider-Man 2, for that problem, first off, that whole Felicia Hardy working for Norman Harry Osborn does not work. Felicia Hardy would never work for Harry Osborn. I mean, never. Under any circumstances will you ever see that. I mean, never. I mean, ever. Never, ever, ever. Because Felicia Hardy is just as rich as Harry Osborn. I mean, that bothers me. There was a perfect opportunity to bring in, if you're gonna bring in Felicia Hardy, there was a perfect opportunity to actually add another character instead of the same character in Green Goblin. What's up with the whole Rhino thing in Spider-Man 2? I didn't like that. He does not shoot missiles or shoot a rail machine gun with his suit. I mean, that's a major stretch. I mean, I could see the horn being fired off as like sort of like a missile, but not a literal missile. And not to mention, when I was watching the ending, when Peter Parker was blocking the missile with the sewer cover, that will never, almost never ever go over well when it comes down to that whole gist of it. I'm like, you know what originally happened to Peter Parker? If he even blocked the missile with a sewer cover, a manhole cover, he would have been blown back and he would have fell towards the wall. That's what would have happened if he wasn't far enough away. I mean, if he didn't use his spider sense, he would have been blown away by doing that. But honestly, when I was watching that whole Amazing Spider-Man 2 movie, which there was absolutely nothing left to the imagination, I was like, I liked Emma Stone's portrayal of Gwen Stacy, but the whole movie, after the whole Alistair Smythe appearing in Amazing Spider-Man 2, I was kind of disappointed. I was very disappointed because it wasn't the whole thing. Like, I was like disappointed that he's not in a wheelchair. I mean, I've been watching Spider-Man. I was watching Spider-Man when I was young. I'm betraying. I'll betrayal the whole. I've been watching the 1994 to 1998 version of Spider-Man. That's what I'm familiar with, and I'm used to seeing Alistair in a wheelchair. And I wouldn't have mind seeing the Kingpin. If you're gonna put Alistair Smythe in as one of the characters in that movie, I mean, why even bother putting Alistair Smythe in Amazing Spider-Man as a character? Same with Felicia Hardy, if you're not gonna add them as legitimate characters. I mean, when I was watching that whole movie, I'm like, Alistair Smythe isn't supposed to be walking around. I mean, he's supposed to be in a wheelchair. That's what I'm used to, and that's what I'm used to seeing. I'm like, that's like Topher Grace's character going, not saying the iconic role of Venom, going, "We are Venom." I'm like, what the heck is going on? Like, I'm like, and Felicia, again, I'll state first of all, Harry Osborn and Felicia Hardy never, ever work together. I will guarantee it. They would never work for one another's parents. That's one of the problems that I had when I was watching Amazing Spider-Man 2. I'm like thinking to myself, what the heck is this? What am I seeing right now? And talk about taking. I know people have problems with Tobey Maguire's character not being able to create the webbing, but for me, I didn't mind that because that would cost money to make, so they had to take a liberty for that part of it. But overall, when you look at all these films and the new one, I'm looking for more characters. Because eventually they're gonna have to lead into Spider-Man Secret Wars? Where's Madam Web? Where's the Beyonder? Where's all? I mean, especially, where's Carnage? I was thinking that Carnage would appear in the 5th film of Spider-Man. But every time you guys at whoever produces it, Fox and Marvel, I mean, and Sony, I mean, they need to hurry up and stop making reboots of the same character. I mean, that's very sad. I mean, you got 3 iterations, 3 different versions of actors playing Spider-Man. You got, and you repeat yourselves when it comes to the Green Goblin 3 times. 3 times. That's a little excessive. I understand the Harry Osborn one, but I don't understand the whole Harry Osborn one doing it again. I don't understand that. See, Harry in The Amazing Spider-Man should have been left alone. I mean, and give people a break when it comes to watching Green Goblin. I mean, I was tired after seeing the first 2 coming out. I understand that you're trying to tell a story, but of those 2 people, I mean, but Harry Osborn should have never appeared again for at least a little bit. But right away, Harry Osborn appears again as another version of Green Goblin. I'm thinking to myself, he doesn't even look like the Green Goblin. He looks more like the Vulture. I'm like, I'm confused. What am I watching? Spider-Man or a Vulture movie? I'm like, and not to mention, Tom Holland's character is finally going into, as Spider-Man. They're finally bringing, I think it was the Shocker and the Vulture as the main 2 bad guys. It only took, what, 1, 2, 6 films? And you made him 19 again. I don't understand. I don't understand that. He goes to high school again, and he's 19. He's a teenager again? That's a prequel. So it goes in chronological order. In Spider-Man lore, it goes like this: Homecoming, Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 3, and Amazing Spider-Man 1, 2, 1 and 2, and then it goes 1, 2, and then 3. Like, that's 6 films that Marvel should have been working on. Carnage. I mean, you guys brought in Venom a while ago. In 2004. Oh, what was it? Let me just double check. Hold on. Let me double check that date. Spider-Man 3. Hold on. Let me look. Okay, let me look at let me look at this. What was there? In 2007. Yeah. And the whole franchise started in, what, 2001? 2000 to 2001. That's over 16 years of Peter Parker playing a reboot every time. I mean, I don't like the fact that you guys are doing all these characters, all these different Peter Parkers, but not adding new characters in every 4 years. I mean, it took Lizard, what, 4 films to be the main bad guy in that film. I mean, that's way too long. And I'm still waiting for Carnage. And honestly, Tom Holland's character in Spider-Man, this is my honest opinion, he would be the TV actor version of Spider-Man. Because when I first saw the trailer for it, his suit gives him, I think his suit gives him powers because of Iron Man, and what's his name in the new version of Spider-Man series, the Cho character. If you actually changed his name instead of calling him Peter Parker, I would have been fine with that. I mean, hold on. But this Peter Parker doesn't look like he has powers without his Iron Man suit. I'm like thinking to myself when I watched the trailer, I'm gonna have to wait for the films to actually be done for me to ever get Spider-Man ever again. Because it's already been too long for me to actually... I don't know how long it's gonna take for them to put in more characters and stuff like that. I'm not gonna waste my time in theaters wondering, because now it's turning into Star Wars. You got 9... You know how long it took X-Men to actually bring out Apocalypse? It took nearly, what, after the 6th film? Let's see. We got X-Men 1, X-Men 2, X-Men 3, Days of Future Past. Yeah, 6 films for Apocalypse to appear. So, how long before Madam Web or the Beyonder are gonna appear? I'm sorry to spoil it for you guys, but when it comes to Spider-Man, I'm waiting for the 6 Spider-Man in all different universes of Peter Parker to come out and play. I'm tired of waiting for Carnage to not be portrayed by an actor to play his role. I was like watching that whole movie. I'm watching all the movies and I'm like waiting. And also, I was kind of disappointed. If you bring in Felicia Hardy, you might as well tell the backstory of Black Cat. I mean, that would have been a nice change. I would have been all yes, but nothing. All she does is work for Harry Osborn. That's kind of disappointing. I mean, that was very, very sad. I think Tom Holland's character should have been what? What was it? Alex Cho? Yeah, that was his character's name in the new Spider-Man arc of the cartoons. Who is sort of smarter than Peter Parker, but no, there had to be another Peter Parker wearing the suit of Iron Man. I'm like thinking to myself, 6 films and no Carnage, only Vulture and maybe the Shocker? What looks like the Shocker? And I'm like looking at it, I'm like, oh my goodness, 6 films and nothing. All you guys, secretly, you guys are doing nothing but reboots. And everybody, well, it's a new film. I'm like, no, it's not. All you guys are doing is reboots over there at whoever produces Spider-Man movies now. All you guys are doing is reboots. Because you don't want to pay the actors more money to reapprise their roles as Spider-Man or whatever it may be. That's why you get a new actor, and that's what it is. But that's how I look at it. I mean, but when I look at Spider-Man, I'm hoping that eventually Carnage is going to come out and play, because he needs to come out and play. I've never seen so much disregard for Venom's daughter or son as Carnage to be what it is. Because he goes, Daddy, how shall we play with Spider-Man today? Like that whole, I'm waiting for that sadistic character to come out. Like, I'm like, what are you guys afraid of? How deep that character is going to be psychotically? I don't understand. You guys in movie theaters or who do movies in general have a tendency to show movies like Annabeth or whatever it is, and not what characters need to come out and I would even like Mysterio to actually appear in the Spider-Man movies, but so far it's only been 3 different iterations of Spider-Man, which is fine. But they all have to be named Peter Parker. I would have rather seen Miles Morales in this one. That would have been a nice change for this iteration of Spider-Man, because Tom Holland is 19 years old. So I would have liked his character to actually be different. That would have made more sense if Miles Morales was actually in that Spider-Man universe and playing the new Spider-Man. I would have liked that. And that would justify the black suit of armor and all that stuff. I would have really liked to see that whole technology thing and that whole Spider-Man thing take off. But nope, still Peter Parker, and no Carnage, no Insidious 6. How long before the Spider-Man movies will bring all 6 characters, all 6 villains into one film? Because I've never seen any movie do that so far. Iron Man 3 had the perfect opportunity to bring in more villains instead of just a poser of what's his name? I'm having a brain fart right now, but I know who he is. See, there has to be there has to be more expansion with those characters. I mean, or there needs to be more variety when it comes to villains. It only took 6 films for Vulture to come out. I don't know why it takes that long for Vulture to come out. And plus, or they should have actually put in the Amazing Spider-Man 2 also, they should have actually put Michael Morbius as one of the villains, because you have Felicia Hardy in that movie. I'm just saying, like if you're gonna put in characters that are in the Spider-Man universe, bring in their evil counterparts to play the villains, because there usually are villains who become Spider-Man's allies in those films. And eventually, Kraven the Hunter needs to come out. I mean, what was it? And also, in The Amazing Spider-Man, Dr. Kafka already appeared. I mean, because where's Carnage then? I mean, that was the. But still nothing. Nothing. I'm still waiting for the other shoe to drop when it comes to Spider-Man. Because I'm waiting for the 6th Spider-Man. Thanks. But I'm waiting for those 6 Spider-Man to appear. I mean, what? Will I have to be 40 years old before I'll see those other three Spider-Man appear? Like, am I gonna be? I'm gonna probably be because I'm 31 right now, and I've been waiting. Another Spider-Man, same Peter Parker. Miles Morales would have been perfect for this iteration of Spider-Man, not Peter Parker. Miles Morales. That would have been perfect. Miles Morales would have made more sense to bring in a new Spider-Man with a new perspective on it. And that's why he wears the armor. Because he has the black Venom suit, so he has to start somewhere, right? So I would have liked to see that part of that character come into fruition. I mean, there's so many problems with bringing in 6 different Spider-Men. I mean, not because where's Madam Web? I mean, the only way this is gonna work is if eventually Madam Web appears. But I haven't seen her yet. Nuh-uh. No Madam Web. No Beyonder. Where are those 2 guys? Where are those 2 people in those character roles? I mean, it's already been, 6 films already. And no Beyonder. No Madam Web. What is wrong with you guys at whoever does the Spider-Man films? Eventually, something's gonna hit the fan. I mean, I'm already kind of disappointed that the whole Spider-Man ordeal is not being addressed here. Because there's no Carnage, which he should have been in the 4th film because you got Venom. I mean, there's no, what else? There's no Mysterio. I mean, there's no Michael Morbius because there was there's the Amazing Spider-Man with Felicia Hardy. I mean, there's so many different ways that Marvel needs to handle this. I mean, but I don't know. I'm kind of really disappointed that Miles Morales isn't in Homecoming, because Miles was only 12, and Tom Holland looks like he's 12, so he could have actually there could have been a younger version of Spider-Man in that role. I mean, or 13 years old. I mean, I'm tired of seeing different iterations of Peter Parker. How many times before Peter Parker is done? I mean, or somebody needs to change his role just briefly enough to make it refreshing to me. That's just how I see it when it comes to Spider-Man. But I'm not directing Spider-Man. I'm not directing Iron Man, but I would have done Iron Man 3 a lot better than what that movie was. The acting was great, don't get me wrong, the script was just terrible. I mean, that was just bad. And honestly, the Mandarin should have been Chinese. I mean, that's a given. And Fing Fang Foom should have appeared in that third movie. Eventually, in the second movie, but they couldn't get a digital dragon to actually make it into that film leading up to the Mandarin. See, this is what I'm talking about. When it comes to films like Iron Man and Spider-Man, they need to hurry up and get on with other characters appearing in films. I mean, I will never accept the Mandarin in Iron Man 3. I will never accept that. I don't care. I'll never accept that. Because what I wanted the third film to be was, I would have rather seen MODOK as the leader of AIM. Because that would have made more sense for his character, who plays the leader of AIM in the third film. And he plays a grunt to the Mandarin. But the whole character plot twist for the Mandarin sucked the life out of me. It literally disappointed me to no end. And same goes for Spider-Man. How many times will I have to be disappointed to see 3 different versions of Peter Parker over and over again before more characters need to appear? Just now, Vulture has appeared in the 6th iteration of Spider-Man. I mean, the 6th film, he should have appeared in at least, I would have to say, somewhere in the beginning as a sub character to one of the major bad guys. But just now, I mean, he has appeared as the villain, or one of the villains in Spider-Man Homecoming? I mean, that's just way too long. I mean, the Rhino could have been better. I mean, instead of shooting missiles. I don't care how many Spider-Man fans are on this channel trying to convince me otherwise, but that's it. That's just how I see it. I mean, 6, what, am I gonna have to see 10 different iterations of Spider-Man when there's only about 6 different versions in 6 different Spider-Man versions, or 20 now because of the new animated series. There's about, what, 20 different iterations of Spider-Man with the conclusion of the new animated series, because there's about 20, and still no Carnage, still no I mean, still no Black Cat. I mean, Alistair Smythe was a disappointment. I mean, my friend tells me all the time that I should play Alistair Smythe because I'm already in a wheelchair. I'm like already kind of upset. So I'm like thinking to myself, when I was watching Alistair Smythe as that character role progressed, I'm like, all you see him do is go into the elevator, that's it? Why even bother bringing Alistair Smythe into that film? Because you might as well bring in Kingpin too. I mean, they've already done that for Daredevil. And, I mean, man, it gives me a headache when I watch the disappointment on my face. Yo. But I don't know. Because what, is it gonna take 7 films or my rant escapade to actually get Carnage off the ground? I mean, are you listening to me, Marvel? I mean, are you guys even caring about Carnage when you guys already have Venom over and done with? I mean, ugh. That's why I'm tired of seeing different Peter Parkers going down the chute. I mean, and honestly, this is why I would have picked Miles Morales as the main character that goes to high school, because you got Zendaya in as one of the characters in Spider-Man Homecoming. So I would have liked to see that as a change as a character. But who knows when that's gonna happen. I mean, I'm sorry, but I think I'm done trying to talk about this because I'm kind of sad now thinking about how many movies there's been and no Carnage, and character roles not being done. I mean, that's just really sad. I mean, if I was Stan Lee right now, I would be very disappointed in giving up my license to Disney. I don't care. If I was in Stan Lee's shoes, I would have never sold it to them. And honestly, they need to hurry up. my overall assessment of Spider-Man in general, they need to hurry up and finish off certain characters and add them to the series, because it's already been 6 films. 6 films, and right now they're working on what looks like Shocker and Vulture. That's way too long. 6 films. I would have even liked the Hobgoblin, the original, the one in the yellow face mask, riding the glider, throwing pumpkin bombs. I would have rather seen that character come into fruition rather than seeing another Peter Parker. I mean, if you're gonna bring in Peter Parker as another Peter Parker, you might as well bring in a young black gentleman playing the Spider-Man role, because of Miles Morales. And because it's called Homecoming, he's still in high school, and he's a young Peter Parker, but I would have rather seen Miles Morales, because it's about time. If you're gonna change another actor to play Peter Parker, you might as well have changed the whole thing. I mean, because you changed him going back to high school again after the first film. So why not change the whole cast and make the main character black? I mean that would have been perfect, because Miles is only, what, 13? That's just how I see it. But no. Now that I said that, they're probably not going to do that. Or they're going to do that, but their own way. And they're going to mess that up entirely. I don't know. I'm just very sad about what I like to watch, but still nothing. I mean, nothing's being fixed. I mean, when I'm watching Spider-Man, I mean, I will only watch the first 3 films, not the Amazing Spider-Man, because I want to collect that in one beautiful set. But they keep making Spider-Man films, and yet nothing. Oh, I'll have to talk to you guys later, because right now I'm gonna probably drown out my sadness in gaming or do something else, because I feel like it's necessary to be done talking about Spider-Man, because who knows when all these characters that I mentioned will come out. Because it's already been 6 films. I'm already gonna be, near my old enough to, I won't be young enough to enjoy these films, to watch these films anymore, because by the time the whole Spider-Man arc will be done, because they keep doing remakes of the same character, but they keep rebooting them every single time, because they don't want to pay the original actor who played that character, because they ask for more money. That's what it is. Like, so that's where I stand on it, and peace out. Oops.
Text to speech unavailable here. Text to speech unavailable here.